every other context about our information and everything. Now we're trusting him to decide what anyone gets to watch and read and these kinds of things. And so I think when you put it, that's of all the ones I've explored talking to people, that one gets it to click with just about everybody that, oh, someone has to decide. And why would I trust these people to decide for me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm going to go back to address how Rokfin handles the question that Sam I think number one, as all of you mentioned, like we're very paranoid, right? Because right now, when we become the size of something, they're gonna come after us, and that means, oh, we can shut down 200 creators at once. Great. Right. So we become very paranoid and we see it. Our strategy is essentially how can they come after us? So one point of attack, I think Flo said, we backing up all our data and what's called also containerize, so that if we need to move from one cloud service to another, we can do it at the click of a switch. So that's number one, because I think, Jason, you mentioned 3, I would probably, at some point, Amazon's going to get in the game and start shutting down their cloud services to whoever they want. So that's number one. And number 2 for us is the payment side, which we know people have been banned from PayPal and merchant accounts and so on. And so that one is easier because that one you can just have multiple merchant accounts. And again, if one doesn't like you, then you shut them down. Maybe you pay a little bit higher fees to the next one, but then you use that one. And so that's how Rokfin's strategy is: being completely paranoid, making sure that our points of attack have a backup, plan B, plan C.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys thought about actually having everybody gets together in the media space that you guys have right now, like library, everybody is creating their own data center. I built data centers, like I'm a telecom technician by trade. So cool. Have you guys ever thought about like doing something like that, collaborating? Because you need everybody together, because if everyone is not together, it's hard to, create actually a big data center that you guys could benefit on and then build upon, later on. It's just a thought.
I would love us to do that. That would work great for us. Collaboration, cooperation, providing some uniformity of APIs so that we can shunt data between one another. The potential for distributed search. I mean, I think it's a win for everybody.
I mean, that's kind of, I don't know about sharing data per se, but the reason I joined this call was to see what these guys have and understand it more, and maybe look more into it tomorrow and then have some conversations, because collaboration is key in getting stronger, as you mentioned, but it's also getting better quicker. Right. So if they have a technology, I'm sure like our engineers can build it, but if they can continue doing something else that's more important to our core features and their core feature is one feature that our creators have requested, then why not? Why would we spend time on that when we can collaborate on that?
Yeah, it works the same for the content creator as well as the platform. If we can provide you with something that eases you to focus on your primary mission, that's what we're here for. We don't intend to be a media platform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think convenience, one thing that we touched on, is very important. Like Mike said, I think you're much more likely to get somebody to leave iPhone and go to Android, or vice versa, if they can just... because there's an easy way to transfer that information. Like that simple thing will prevent somebody from going to a different platform, just like the convenience. So I think what Aaron said, the float thing of like having your Facebook information go right to float and not having to upload everything all over again, I think that's kind of what you were saying you can do now, makes life a lot easier. I think an app, it's super easy just to put in a URL, but it's a little bit easier to just hit a little icon on your phone, and people are lazy. We find the path of least resistance. So if we can cut a corner, we will. And I think the YouTube thing does have the convenience on their side, but I think to be the devil's advocate, the convenience isn't going to be as important as the fact that you can't find anything anymore on YouTube, nothing interesting. And it's getting to the point where like people like myself who research and been researching for a long time, and everybody else on this call, you could go down some rabbit holes on YouTube and using Google or whatnot. Now you can't find anything. I mean, you can't even find the content creators who are on this call on YouTube or Google, even if you, in many cases, put in the exact title of the show. So I think people more than ever are looking for alternatives, and they've gone so far. I remember Ben Swan saying this on my show, like they just overplayed their hand, where it's almost like they went too far, where now people are like, listen, I like the convenience, but you went so far that fuck the convenience. I'm like, it's useless. You have a useless platform. If I don't, like somebody mentioned it, unless I want to look at cooking videos or how-to videos or whatever. But if you really want to learn something and listen to something thought-provoking, you're much more open to going to a Rokfin or library or BitChute or whoever it may be, or UseFlow, because you do have, and that's the thing with Parler. I know there's a lot of conversations about where they're getting their money or whatnot, and who knows if Parler is going to survive or it's going to end up having the same issues Twitter had. But I think it shows you how much people really just want alternatives, because Parler, people jumped on a Parler just because they heard, oh, this is Twitter without the censorship, so it's just one of those things where I really do believe we're at this transition where people are finally fed up and not just open to alternatives, seeking alternatives.
Yeah. I think the usability thing also plays a huge role. I mean, it has to be intuitive. That's something that I think I really underestimated when we started Float, is just how important intuitiveness is. It almost needs to what's the word? It needs to have that feel of like existing social media, because I can't tell you how many nights I've stayed up till like 4:30 a.m. just helping users figure out what this button on Float does, what this button on Float does. So like really having a very intuitive platform and a good UI experience, God, it's like so underrated.
Completely agreed.
Other content creators, Tim, Tease, Richard, Truthzilla, any of you guys, Charlie?
I can speak up for Content Safe. So my name's Richard Grove. I've done long form podcasts since 2006. I've made films. I've got thousands of hours of content out there, and I'm still monetized outside of YouTube. I am monetized on YouTube, but I don't use it because I have other offers out there. And I've been working with Matthew and Content Safe since before they created it. His original thing was people are getting censored. Here's how to prevent their content from getting lost. And I said, that's a good pitch, but it's a fear-based pitch on loss. What I need as a content creator is I want to upload one place and put it on YouTube and BitChute and Library and Float and Rokfin. I've applied to Rokfin. I'm a Burmese referral, but I'm still waiting to hear back. I don't know. And he was able to facilitate that. So I would start getting emails. And it's like something we uploaded a couple days ago has now trickled through to BitChute or Library. And so we have a new podcast called Grand Theft World, where we're taking everyone who's getting censored off these platforms, put them in one place. But we're also hosting that on Library, BitChute. When it's allowed on YouTube, it goes on YouTube. But Content Safe's facilitating that, so I can continue to focus on highest and best use of my time, which is teaching and dealing with clients and producing. And I don't have to struggle with BitChute crashing and going back and trying to re-upload, because I wasn't willing to do that. Yeah. So it allows me to save time, be more productive. And that's why I think more people were getting interested in the past couple months. Because now it's a thing.
Hard to learn about Content Save, but I'm like getting goosebumps. I'm like so excited. I think it's such a brilliant little platform. Like honestly, I really think it's what you guys do is very important. So yeah, I can't wait to check this out and like talk to you more.
Well, I do want to give the connections that Matt needs to make, because like he could get very overwhelmed very quickly.
Oh yeah.
So really, I think it's like Derek Rose, it's other people, colleagues of mine that are in the freedom community that we've said, hey, if you need this service, take a meeting with Matt. And I told Ricky in July, but he didn't really. But when I tweeted it last week, he's like, hey, can I set up a meeting with Matt? And then they talked for 2 hours the other day. So yeah, now's the time to get it everywhere and distribute it, not centralized.
I was just on a podcast with Jason Bassler, the co-founder of the Free Thought Project. And he's been censored. Can I curse on here?
Yes, please.
Okay, so he's just
no, this is a
Christian podcast. This is a censorship
Don't
podcast.
do that. Don't fucking swear.
Just say earmuffs.
Earmuffs. Yeah, so he's been it's like censored like a fuck ton, and he actually told me that he literally posts across 15 different platforms, and it takes him majority of the day. So it's like, God, a platform like that will help you do it and do it for you and make sure your content stays safe. And it's very, very
contentsafe.co.
Well, and the other thing about content safe is because I do long form, if my upload doesn't work right, it's a longer process. So last night we did a 4-hour live show. I used some adult language, but then I didn't feel bad because we had a clip of Whitney Webb with Jason Burmis, and boy, did they say fuck a lot during that clip. So that was really cool. And they dropped the word technopoly. So I had to pull out the Technopoly book last night and get into the origins of the word and all these sort of things. So JB, when I get that, it's actually on YouTube. Grand Theft World episode 4. Like 2 hours, 30 minutes you're in there. Twice. Honorable mention. Good job.
Tim, I know you want to jump in?
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Library, because I first heard about you guys probably 4 years ago on Ernest Hancock's show, who's another guy who's been pioneering, and I think I first heard about Matthew from Ernest Hancock's show as well, and it really took me until this year to get on Library, but it's so easy compared to BitChute. I've been paying BitChute just to support them for like 2 years, and I stopped even uploading to them about January. I just paid somebody to just upload all my stuff because I didn't, one of my assistants I just had them just upload everything back to BitChute. But it's just such a pain that, I don't have time for that. So, BitChute is prioritized basically, besides YouTube. And so what I'm trying to do now is come out with stuff actually to my email list first, or text message opt-in list. I just did my first interview where I did that with one of the co-founders of SpaceX. And what I did is I had to go out in Library first. But in that video, I tell people that. So then when it goes out to YouTube, and then when it goes out to Josh's BitChute channel, which is much larger, is directing people to Library, directing people to email sign-up list. And I wanted to see if Jeremy could talk to me a little bit more about like the Web 3.0 aspect of it, because it might get lost in our viewers and listeners who might have no idea what that means. But before I do that, I also want to give a shout out to Flow. I've been using that pretty much since day one. Although I don't use it as much as I should, but they do make it really easy. They've been doing everything with like a shoestring budget. They're about to launch a token sale. I am a financial advisor, so I can't say it's just for informational purposes only. But what they're doing right now is I am pretty optimistic where they're going. But I think ultimately, and this is something that Ernie has talked about, Ernest Hancock, is because what I'd like to do is, let's say, live stream. I think if we promote our own websites, have a link to whatever live stream we're doing. So Union of the Unwanted, November 30th, and then boom, have like a flow. If we could have like an embed of the live stream from like, let's say, Flow, and then maybe when we're done live streaming, have that somehow go over to like a library. I'm not sure if that can be done, or having some sort of IPFS system where if the video is not live, we can have it first hosted from our website and then have it go out to other places. Like in the long run, something like that I think would be really good for the community. I'm not a tech guy, so I don't know what the capabilities of doing something like that would be. But I think ultimately going like low tech is almost like the new high tech of getting our email list. I recently switched off MailChimp because they took down Dan Dick. So we need to make sure all of our email lists are backed up, our text message lists are backed up, our content's backed up. So it's not just about the content, it's about our people's information. Because I was very optimistic 4 years ago when I first started making stuff, and it was strictly on Facebook, and then overnight, boom, 99.99% reach reduction. And it was November 16th, 2016. It was one night, boom, just happened overnight. And so I learned my lesson real quick on that, and I was just trying to do things on the other platforms. But unfortunately, even our audiences don't want to go to other places. And this was, now they're getting to that point, but unfortunately, the other places are becoming like the, nothing against them, but the Dan Bongino backed platforms of, we've got the Bongino report as a alternative to the Drudge Report. Now we've got Rumbler, which is Bongino's video service, and we've got Bongino's Twitter service, and all these guys that thought they knew everything, like they don't understand the bigger picture, which is the Web 3.0, which is if they can censor it, they will eventually censor it, and how do we make the content so that way it can't be censored? Then ultimately going back to low tech. So I know that was a kind of a longer statement, but I want to see if Jeremy could maybe talk more about the Web 3.0 aspect of what you're doing on the library side of things.
Sure, but before I do, I also want to reiterate that Tim said it's very easy to use. So because the Web3 stuff gets nerdy, and so that's
even easier to use before you get censored. So I know Sam's not here right now, so I wish Sam was here, because I told him this. I'm like, Sam, before you get kicked off, not to manifest that into the world, do it now, because it's already there. Because once you're kicked off, it's going to be much, much tougher. And costs a lot more time, effort, and energy and money. So unfortunately, Sam's not here to hear this plug right now, but I have told him that in the past.
Yeah. So, all right. So this is actually why we launched Odyssey, to make this distinction clear. So Odyssey.com is the successor to YouTube. All right. You can go and check it out. It's super user friendly. It will bring over your whole channel. It's all of it's all the things we talked about in terms of the user experience, just being there. The product works. It's on, when our iOS app comes out in December, we will be on all 5 operating systems, both phones, all 3 desktop operating systems. So it will be everywhere, user friendly app on every platform. But what's underneath all of this is a technology called Library that's, I would use the word radical in the same way that Bitcoin was radical, or the same way that some earlier internet technologies, SMTP, some people might not know, which powers our email. That's a radical technology. It lets me deliver a message to anyone in their inbox. And our email addresses, we own our email addresses. If we want to do it at our own domain, we're not using Gmail. We own our email addresses. So we're trying to turn digital publishing into this kind of thing. We want it to be an open standard, not owned by any one company, not owned by us, right? I'm the CEO of a company. I am not a CEO of the protocol. The protocol is an open standard, just like the way that Bitcoin is. I can get very nerdy. I'm a nerdy guy. I have a computer science background, and I can explain exactly what I mean by all of these things. I'm not sure that's where we want to go on the show, but that's the fundamental property. Is that right? People understand that property with Bitcoin. I have my private key. I own this money. It's same kind of thing, but think publishing. This is my channel. It's mine. It's no one else's. No one else can come and take it away or delete it or whatever. All right. That's the difference of Library.
So Jeremy, I've had a lot of people try to get me on Library, and you just talked about how you can import your entire YouTube channel. A guy like me,
super
how
easy.
Is it
super easy?
Yeah, is it super? I have 700 plus videos.
If you could start doing it right now, and you would have the process started within 2 minutes, and you would get an email probably in about 800 videos. I don't know, 1 to 3 days. It's just gonna be like, it's done.
So 800, so 1,700 a week. 2 weeks.
I'm sorry. Did you say 8? I thought you said 800. 1,300. I don't know. It's gonna take a couple of days, less than a week.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Well, you have nothing to lose because you just click a button and it just
The process will be initiated. The process will be initiated in 2 minutes, and you'll get an email like every step of the way. It'll be like, the thing is starting. The thing is done.
That's why I was telling Sam that you want to do this before you get kicked off, because if you get kicked off YouTube, then it's going to be a real pain in the butt to get your content over. But here, anything you put up on YouTube automatically goes to Library, and it's just, or Odyssey. So it actually goes to both. So if you post on Library, it then also goes to Odyssey as well. And
that was my question.
Well, Library is this underlying network. You think of it as something like the federated web, if you're familiar with that kind of stuff. So Library is this underlying network. It's an open standard. It's similar to IPFS if you know IPFS, although IPFS is not oriented towards discovery and following publishers and these kinds of things, which Library very much is. But from a data infrastructure perspective, it's similar.
Yeah, because that's
selling me on it for sure. I got to get in there.
That's kind of what got my attention with what Matthew was doing at Content Safe was, like Richard said, like, I want to spend more time podcasting, researching, doing, creating content and not uploading on each individual platform. So, and then once I think when Rich first told me about it, I didn't really get what the hell he was talking about. Maybe it sounded too good to be true in July. So I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? But once we talked the second time, I'm like, wait. So he does similar to what like your podcast host would do. You upload it in one place and then they send it to Spotify and iTunes and all the podcast apps. So you don't have to go through the trouble of uploading to each individual location. He does the same thing, but with video. And I'm like, eureka, because I'm like, I want to go on BitChute. I want to go on Library. I want to go on Float. I want to go on all these platforms, but the time it would take, my limited time already to upload on each individual one, artwork, titles, links, whatever you want to put in the show description. I'm like, it's so time consuming, but it sounds like Library already kind of has that same similar type of technology in regards from YouTube to library, right? You can basically just take your YouTube stuff. You don't have to upload things twice. Library will do the rest of the work.
That's right. We will. Here's the problem, and I totally support the idea of content safe. I think what they're doing is great, and I think it's a service that makes a lot of sense to use. But one of the things I've seen on the other side of this is what I've watched creators either lose their audiences, or some creators have made a purpose of building their audience up on library. Like I think James Corbett would be an example. I think he's at like 60,000 subscribers on followers on Odyssey. A big difference is what you do. It's with the one that you choose to talk about, the one that you choose to, and you can say multiple ones. Sticks would be an example of a creator. He rotates. He does one every day. But a reason that people leave will be because you are suggesting that they do, or you're mentioning these alternatives, because your audience trusts you, your audience looks to you. And so when you go and you say, hey, this is better for me, or I think this is the future, because you're talking about these problems, they're now, and your audience is waking up, and they're becoming aware of it, but they now need some guidance on, well, what do I do? And also, if you tell someone, well, use any of these four, then now what? They've got to do all of the research. So I do think it's smart to hedge your bets, to spread your content around. I totally endorse that as a strategy. But if your audience is looking to get somewhere else, like, you kind of do need to offer some guidance and say, hey, like, I'm going to be on these other ones, but like, this is the one that, this is the one that I think is, I'm suggesting this one. It makes it, more people will come over if you say try X than if you say try X, Y, Z, or W,
Yeah, I got a question. I kind of coming back to the whole like storage and everything for the future. When you look at Facebook, Amazon, and all these big companies, they have mass amounts of data centers everywhere. They're spread out everywhere. What is the plans for future, and how are you going to protect your content from rogue club platforms and so on, if you're using them to be able to protect it? And
on our side, one thing we're planning to offer in the near term is offline storage to all of our content creators. So both hard disk or tape drive backups, we can do those to whatever level of redundancy anyone wants to do. Actually, I actively engage with the content creating world because they have lots of good ideas about what they think would be good approaches to securing their content. And it was even Sticks and Hammer that brought up the idea that tape drives are probably the best way to go. It's the cheapest per terabyte anyway, right? And we're adopting that strategy. Every platform, it kind of makes sense for Library or BitChute to pull things from YouTube to their platform. That's wonderful. I do think that philosophically, I don't want to herd everybody on to, say, Rokfin or Library or Float. That philosophically doesn't work for me. I would rather move them out into a variety of audiences. I recognize that there's a practical marketing hurdle there, perhaps. But from a standpoint of securing your content, being sure that you're going to be reached, that's why Content Safe also tries to go that one step further and say, how can we help you with staying in touch with your subscribers?
Yeah, as a content producer, the audience that if I put out the podcast last night, that some people will watch it on YouTube, some are going to watch it on BitChute, some are going to watch it on Library. They'll watch it on Library because if they lose their connection, it holds the place. They might watch it on BitChute because they can fast forward 10 seconds at a time, these sort of things. So I just try to give options so that the audience has, wherever they like to watch it, there's an outpost that we're publishing to.
As I said, there's so many platforms out there now. I mean, hundreds. And so the thing with us is, we are a bunch of different social medias mixed into one. We have so many different capabilities, and it's difficult to tell people we're a YouTube competitor. We also have a crypto Patreon model. It's very confusing. People are just like, what are you? To everybody's point, something that we actually did on Float, which is my favorite feature, and it's so small and minute. But if you actually go on a Float profile, you can look in the header, and there are clickable little icons. And we actually have linked a ton of different social platforms. So like we have Apple Music, BitChute, Cash App, DLive, DTube, Facebook, Gab, Hive, LinkedIn, Mastodon, Medium, MeWe, Minds, Parler, Patreon, PayPal, Reddit, SoundCloud, only thing I don't think we have on there is Odyssey, which we do need to get on.
But yeah, library we are trying to get people to just link Odyssey on the web now instead of the library.tv link. But
we'll add that. I'll get it on my dev priority list this week.
You don't need to do both. Just replace the library. But
I love that it kind of just gives everyone, like your social channels on your profile right in your header. So it's like the first thing that you see, and all you have to do is just click this link and it brings you to your Odyssey, this link and it brings you to your YouTube. It's such a small little feature, but I feel like it has such a big impact because it kind of collectively just puts all of your data and all of your accounts in one place where people can easily find your content.
Yeah, that's really smart. I'm just about out of time, so I'm gonna go. But it was really great to
getting a chance to talk to you, Jeremy.
Yeah, it was great.
Jeremy. And our team is very open. We're very available. So if you have questions, you're welcome to follow up with me personally, or anyone at our company. That's another thing we're trying to do differently. Is there are real humans you can talk to around here. So cheers, and it's great to meet all of you, and it feels like we're really doing something here that can work. And so it's an encouraging call.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Appreciate it.
God bless you. We'll talk to you soon. Great job.
And just to say on the heels of what Jeremy just said, that I look at every single one of my content creators as being someone I want to know as much as possible. I want to understand what your problems are. I want to be able to offer to you solutions, ways to manage your problems. That's the way I look at business in general. I have businesses other than Content Safe. This is not my primary thing. So, but it is my passion. So I want to be able to get to know all of you that come on board.
Same.
Well, I'm interested in sitting down and talking to you. So yeah, man, this has been a great show so far. And, to have everybody here from all these different websites be able to talk, it's been pretty historic to me. And I think it's great to know that you all kind of want to work together in the capacity. Obviously everybody wants to make their business thrive, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, any kind of way you guys can work together to push back, because the more free open market there is, the harder it is for them to censor all of us. So I think there's strength in numbers. Even if you guys are competing for clicks and views, working together is a lot better than banging with each other. And
there's plenty of market share, right? So
absolutely,
we all don't need to be the next Facebook, that's just greedy. There's plenty of market share out there. We don't need to be the next YouTube. We just need to be able to be a place, be a beacon of hope in these really dark times where people can, we all have different features and different things that we offer. So let the people really just go to different platforms. We'll help each other as much as we can and kind of co-market each other. But let people find a home that feels good to them.
That's what we've been doing as creators. We've all shared shows, we all share content, even though we kind of would technically compete with each other. We've been very good at collaborating all along. I felt welcome in the podcast YouTube community the whole time. It's been fantastic.
Collaborating is a competition every day, all day.
My opinion is that this is the most unique form of capitalism ever, because you basically have to earn your living, right? But it's we can all earn a living. It's not like, for the first time ever, we're not like stores competing against each other. We can actually all lift each other up, and we can all make a good living while still living in a capitalistic system, which is, you get you get your customers to enjoy your product and purchase it. So I think it's the most unique thing I've ever. It's like nothing ever before.
Yeah, it's true capitalism.
Right. I'm going to talk to you what Matthew spoke about, I don't know, a half hour ago, about building a search engine across all the different kind of platforms, if that's even possible. One of the things why I liked YouTube initially was that it allowed small creators to get promoted through its recommendation algorithm, which they had since tweaked to oblivion, where it's impossible for that to ever happen again. So if it's possible to create a new recommendation algorithm, I know it is. I know it's possible that actually works, that we can use. Awesome. That's why TikTok is so successful right now, is because it has that old recommendation algorithm that YouTube once has, and it's been hacked to oblivion at this point.
Well, it's all about data, man. It's all about data, indexing, and algorithms. A lot of this stuff is open source academic work. It's on GitHub. It's on GitLab. We can avail of this stuff, and we can aggregate data. Right now, the data is freely flowing. I mean,
I'll help you.
Right? Sure. And by the way, the new architecture is pure Python. So,
hey, I'm on board. Hey, I love it.
Let me just say this too about recommendations and algorithms, because you guys just talked about it being true capitalism. No, it's fucking not. No, it is not. It is not even fucking close to true capitalism if they can come out and brag on CNN that they've reduced my traffic by 80%.
Yeah, but what I mean by that, Jamie, is that we don't, like, I don't have to win and you have to lose. It's we can all win.
But you do understand that YouTube last week on the 18th decided that even if they demonetize me, they can monetize my content and steal all my money, right? That's not true capitalism. They've actually put that into play in their terms of service, that if you're not a partner program, they can still monetize your content. Now, let me say this. That's technology that is enslaving us through censorship. Rokfin, to me, is the technology that is empowering us through telling my audience about this. So they may not have all the algorithms built down, but they can see that my audience actually watches my stuff, that I am gaining subscribers, etc. And they're helping me out by putting out emails to people that are on that platform to watch my stuff.
I love
as
that.
I'm live.
I love that. I think that's huge.
I can't thank them enough. No one's doing that for me at big tech. Google would piss in my mouth sooner. Trust me. It would never happen.
Hey, we're all in the weird shit.
Yeah, library also does that, which is great. So,
awesome.
No, it's a fantastic feature.
But I'm just saying, Jamie, why don't you explain to people why your platform is going to work? Because I don't think people understand that small time approach of finding niche audiences and bringing them in slowly. I think there's a lot to be said for that.
Because we're creator focused. Mainly what that means is, I said it, right? Our mission is to be the best place to monetize content. And to do that, who needs to get paid the best is the creator. You guys are the suppliers of the content. Without you, there's no network. And the problem that digital networks have basically squeezed creators is that when network effects take hold, meaning that they get stronger and stronger as more people join the platform, and therefore it becomes a better product. What happens is that their gains are exponential while the creator gains are linear, and that keeps getting the gap getting bigger and bigger as the network grows. So by us mainly having the creators be part of the growth of the network, that's one of the big reasons why when you joined, the Ray token was, 30 cents, and the platform basically grew like fivefold in a few months, and now you see that the price of the token is over $1, and you had the option to say, I could cash out at 30 cents or I could cash out at more than $1. And so that's the payment side. Like, if you're happy, you're getting paid. then we can build features around, making your experience better. But also, I think Floyd mentioned not forgetting the user experience, right? Like the user experience has to be intact for us. The funnel of how people join and then pay is very important. We're looking at that every single day. The experience of watching videos, listening to podcasts, just giving user experience good. But the number one thing we did, when we started is, hey, let's make sure the economic model is solid for the creators, because if they're happy, they'll invite their friends and their friends will invite their friends, and they're part of the growth of the network.
Absolutely. That's why you got to get Richard Andrew Grove on there. Tragedy and Hope is a great site. If he's applied, Jamie, you got to get him in there tomorrow, man. He's a big cat. They're good over there.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
That's
such a good point. I was just going to say, that's such a good point.
Sorry, no. You know what, Truzilla, you haven't talked all day. You guys talk.
All right, Sam. Thanks, man. Well, I was just gonna say, we're, as a society, as a human race, we're so used to just being treated like shit by YouTube. In general, just like it's just a constant, one commercial after the next, and it's just it's just we're just beaten down by it, And I think people, in order to avoid that, they pay the $99 a month for YouTube Premium. Right, to avoid just being treated like that. And so, if you could have a platform where, I am paying for the content, but I would be much more inclined to support something like that rather than just avoid being abused by YouTube. That's really what you're paying for. It's like extortion or coercion, basically, is to avoid, the mistreatment that you get from these places. So if I could pay instead of that to support a platform like Rokfin, man, I'd be way more inclined to do that, I think, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Also, another question for Jamie is, so a lot of us, we post our audio or whatnot all over the place on
I was going to mention
Spotify, all that stuff. If you're a specifically like an audio podcast, is there a place for you on Rokfin? And also, if you do also do the video thing, but you post it everywhere, how does it work in regards to okay, do I have to exclusively keep it at Rokfin and not be able to post it anywhere else? How does that all work if you're, because like myself, I have a small presence on some of the video platforms, but it's not a huge presence. The majority of my listeners are listeners, they just listen to it on iTunes, Spotify or whatnot. So would there be a way of doing both, or would we have to exclusively be on Rokfin?
So that's a great question. The answer is that creators do whatever they want to do. It's their content. We don't own any content. You want to put it in 10 different places, you can. We don't put rules on you to say, hey, you can't put that there. Once you're in, it's your content and you can do whatever you want. Now, we realize that to be the best place to monetize content, a subscription so far has worked really well. But there are people that want to put the free content. And good news is that probably late this week, we're going to launch tipping, which is kind of the equivalent of a super chat. So that's another way to monetize your content without necessarily being behind a paywall. But to answer your question, it's really the creator decides whether this piece of content goes behind the paywall, in front of the paywall, whether it goes into 10 different platforms or just on Rokfin. It's really up to the creator, and they will test different strategies to monetize and see which one works best. So that's decided. It's not by us.
And let me jump in really quick, because Whitney Webb has done a great job of doing everything you were just talking about, Ricky. So in other words, it's not just podcasts. Yes, there's a spot for podcasts there. So if you're just a podcaster, you can have your audio podcast. Video platform, obviously there. That's why I'm there. You can put articles in there. And then what else is nice is it kind of has a thread feature called a stack. So if you have a certain thing, so in other words, Mike Cernovich is on there. And Mike likes to sell a lot of his plans, right? So instead of being a Patreon subscriber to Mike, if you buy Rokfin, you not only get my content, you get everybody's, but Mike will have one of his power courses in a stack for you to go through. They've done a really...
It's like a playlist. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I remember they were called stacks for a while, but you could...
They are stacks. We still call them stacks, but the equivalent of for you guys that are on YouTube is the equivalent of creating a playlist, essentially.
Yeah. Except for it doesn't necessarily have to be all video content. Now, what I've done there, which I think is also important, is I've started to do exclusives 11 a.m. Monday through Friday. So I go live there. I'm not live on any platform. I'm free for 24 plus hours. This is also what's nice about it. So I get my audience to come in. They come watch me. I decide what's a little too spicy for YouTube. I keep that there. I maybe cut 2 clips out or whatever, and I put that on YouTube. I premiere that stuff. But that lives there free for 24 hours. So I tell people, hey, go check this out. You can join us live. That brings people in to follow. Then after 24, 36 hours, I then put it behind the paywall of premium. So if you support me, you now get my archives. Now, some of that stuff is archived on YouTube, but not all of it. I did a 30+ minute broadcast today there that is going to live on Rokfin. It's still free. So again, people have that motivation, because one of the other cool things about Rokfin, guys, which is amazing, is that I have a huge email list without having a huge email list. What do I mean? Everybody that makes an account gives up their email. And if they signed on through you, you got that email too. They have unbelievable analytics. Jamie, you put together the platform, my friend. I can't talk it up enough. But with that, let's say I get cut off of YouTube. Now I can start a MailChimp or whatever, and I can go to all those people that I know are somewhat interested in me. So it's not just clicking. The only thing I could think they could do better is maybe let me embed my player, and that would be awesome. But other than that, the embed the player, it is fantastic, 100%. So in other words, you want to watch my stuff, yeah, it's free, but you still got to sign up. So you have those people that you at least know are interested in information beyond what you're getting on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Yeah, that's great.
Jamie. Sorry, Jamie, I'm computer stupid. For somebody who lives on the internet, makes his living off the internet, I am dumb when it comes to all the, tech stuff. And I would love to start live streaming to Rokfin, but that setup seems to be super difficult, or maybe it's just I don't understand it.
We had some problems with it too.
So, there's certain ways, like on Patreon, right? I could start on StreamYard and put a link that allows me to live stream straight to Patreon, and nobody else can see it. I use YouTube, but there's other formats, and then I end up pulling the video off of YouTube because it's too racy. But do you think there's any chance of that happening on Float? Because I would love to do content on there and try to get that going, doing live streams. I just can't. I have no clue of the stuff that I try to do. And I'm like, okay, I might as well speak Chinese at this point, because I really don't know how to do it.
A live stream on Float, it's as easy as just copying your stream key and your RTMP key.
Yeah, see, that's to me, I'm just dumb. I can't find my stream key. I don't even know what my stream key looks like. I can barely find my car keys.
Sam, we'll get you, bro. Me and you will do a 5-minute private.
I'm just like, I would love to. I got 2 daughters.
Private.
If my daughters knew how to do all this, I'd be safe. But they're 9 months old, and they're taking all my cash right now. So I can't even get a tech guy to do it. So that's
actually, Jason Burmas is our live stream expert. We go to him to ask him questions about live streaming.
Listen, it's a lot easier. And I admit I'm a kind of a computer dork, but Sam, I'm trying to make it out to California to go give Fitch the rig that I'm running on right now so he can start live streaming soon. If you're still out there in California not touring, maybe we'll do a thing. We'll set you up as well. It's not that hard. I agree. The next step for Rokfin would to be, a YouTube style app that you don't need, whether it be OBS. I use XSplit. That's what I'm using right now for this broadcast to do that. But I'm sure that's down the line. That's when it's ultimate, right? When I can take my phone, I can take a little stick like this, and I can stream in high definition to everybody at an event. And I'm waiting for that. The first app that's letting me do that through a phone without third-party software, I think is also going to have a huge edge in everything we're talking about, especially in this society when there are so many influencers that literally have no tech savvy. They just know how to put their phone in their face, hit record, and for some reason, people find them interesting.
Thank God.
Thank God.
Yeah, that's an interesting. I think that's a very, and we've had this request before, right? Of live streaming on the streets, whether it's on a protest or election day or whatnot. So it's definitely something we're working on. We focus right now on a lot of our big events are actually sports events. So before the event, we see it with these people. We make sure it's all good, that we're getting the right signal. We walk them through it, make sure they have good internet. That's the number one rule for live streaming. The creator needs to have good internet, and then the setup. But I think it's a great idea. But we'll walk you through it too. If not, we'll send you to Burma's and we'll help you figure it out.
Hey, Graham, I know you had some questions also. Do you have any other questions, or did that kind of answer it a little bit? Or
yeah, it was just the same thing you asked about audio. So it was kind of more not only for Rokfin, but the other platforms, like distributing audio only for that. Like I agree with Mike. The YouTube app is so intuitively functional. It's hard to beat that for, I use it to listen to stuff as well, but I got to get myself off there personally. And we only use YouTube for the searching and for the few people that watch us live. So mainly everything is audio, similar probably to Truthzilla and Monica and Mike.
Well, on Float, you can upload like an MP4 file and just upload audio right to the news feed there.
Yeah. Cool. That's it.
Yep. That's as simple as that.
So Jamie, would that or somebody else who's on Rokfin might be able to answer this. Now, if you just basically post it everywhere, how would that affect your monetizing the work? Because aren't you basically not exclusive on Rokfin? So why would you be able to participate in the monetizing of the content?
Well, Ricky, think about what I do, right? So like if you like my stuff, instead of just giving me a $10 super chat or paying me $10 once on Patreon, if you're paying me $10 a month, that means if you missed my show 3 times last week, I put that behind the paywall. They watch that. Now, let's say, I do the show with John Fitch also on Rokfin. Somebody signs up through Fitch, and Fitch mentions mixed martial mindset, and they decide instead of watching it on YouTube and Twitter, because I can triple stream. I triple stream to Rokfin, YouTube, and Twitter at the same exact time. I could probably quadruple stream without Restream.io. It's a rig that's $1,200 will do that for you, right? So if you watch that same thing behind a premium wall, it's also going to add towards the Ray tokens on there. And if you're subscribed, you have access to all those archives and the exclusives on top of it. So I put out all my stuff all over the place, and a lot of it is free. I want people to be able to watch that stuff and be like, awesome. There's creators out there like Richard Medhurst, who I'm a big fan of. I got to get on the show. You should get on this show, Ricky, who gives all of his stuff away for free. I'm trying to get Corbett on the Rokfin. I have now for over a year because you can do that. And I think that's good to his model. And if they want to support him, they can still pay $9.99 for Corbett. He just happens to tell you everything's for free and nothing's behind a paywall. I think it is the ultimate platform for you decide how much you want to monetize and how you want to do it. Because at the click of a button, your content is either free or it's not. You can decide at any moment to make something premium or free like that. So it's in the edit.
Yeah, it's like Jason said, it's really up to the creator. In all honesty, if it's free on Rokfin, you aren't able to monetize it. Now, later this week with tipping, people might be able to send you a super chat, whether it's a video, a live stream, an article, or whatnot. But as of right now, it's just a strategy of monetization, right? So if everything that you put on Patreon, for example, you put it everywhere else, what's the carrot that's going to entice somebody to subscribe? There isn't much, right? But if you give bonus content or whatever, then that's the carrot. So it's just really a creator strategy on best to monetize content. What Jason described is his strategy, right? Some other people have different strategies. Some other people have, I make this one show sidebar that is exclusively to Rokfin. Some people have, I think the Vagabond is starting a series around a specific topic that is exclusive to Rokfin, but everything else that he produces, it's free on Rokfin. So, short answer to your question is a strategy that, Jason's been on the platform for a while now. So he's tinkered with different strategy and he's found one that works for him. And he has grown since he started doing that strategy.
Yeah. And look at Jimmy Dore, right? So Jimmy Dore has taken kind of the same model that he did for YouTube. And what that model is he live streams, right? Anybody can tune into Jimmy Dore and it'll be an hour of commercials before it even gets there because he wants the audience there. You can't rewind it. You can't replay it. You either catch it live or you don't. So that whole show goes away. Then he takes his 2-3 hour show. He puts up 60 minutes worth of clips out of that 2-3 hour show. But if you're a Patreon member, you have full access. And now if you're a Rokfin member, whether you're signed up for me or anybody else on there, you also have full access to that. So he puts up all those same little clips that he puts up for YouTube for free on that platform and every platform. But if you want to watch the full unedited show that's 3 or 4 hours that was streamed live, you're a premium member. I hope that kind of explains the different types of models you can have on that platform.
I love it. Hey, guys, I just want to say this has been historically awesome. I'm honored to be a part of this. I unfortunately have to jump. I love this. I want to say, Ricky, Mike, Charlie, great job. Ricky, you did a great job booking this. And it was a real honor to be a part of it. And I appreciate everybody. Truthzilla should talk a little less. Not only King, guys, you guys crushed it. And good to see Adam on here. Look who's in the big leagues now, Adam, huh? Look at you. I love it.
Guy.
Listen, man, I just gotta say this. I love that new podcast like Truthzilla. Adam, I don't know you, Schneider, but I'm sure you're a crusher too. And I just love that the Union of the Unwanted has every level of this shit. And I think it's great. I think that's why this Union of the Unwanted is so special, man. And great things are going to happen. And when I see Truthzilla, who I know those guys started, when they started, I was like, fuck yeah, go for it. Great name. Deborah gets red pilled. I love it, dude. I mean, this is a guy who's been on my Patreon forever, and he jumps in all the time. Now he's here on the Union on the Wanted with his own podcast. Like, that's what I'm talking about, man. That's what makes this so special. And it was a real honor to be here. I love everybody here, and I look forward to the next one. Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Sam. Hey, so
we just celebrated our 6-month anniversary, and Megan got us socks for the people that inspired us the most. So he got Melissa Floyd socks, and I got a pair of Sam Tripoli socks, man. So
I saw those actually on your Instagram. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, Adam, so do you want to jump in here? Do you have any questions for Jamie or for Matt or anybody else?
I'm probably more computer dumb than Sam is, which is hard to believe. But yeah, I'm just still amazed that I can like record something on Zoom and that it appears on iTunes. So I'm just gonna listen for now. If you guys want to talk about like Hillary Clinton fucking kids and wearing their faces later, I'll be more vocal.
I think this next episode.
That's
this week's episode.
Specifically that topic on the next episode. Yep.
I just want to say that Sam and Jason have been doing a great job promoting Rokfin, and I've been trying to get Josh Sigerson to go on there.
I was trying to get Josh too, man. I had
like trying to drag a horse. I'm sure Aaron, if she could attest how hard it is to drag that kid to water to do anything. But yeah, I'm gonna try. But I had a question for Jamie. What if I were to sign up underneath Jason's referral link, and I watch Jason's stuff, and I also watch Sam's stuff too? Does Sam get a piece of like the action, or is there like some sort of like pro rata? Like I spend 50-50. Like how does that work in terms of getting other content creators compensated?
We separated in acquisition and retention royalties. So your $9.99 the first time you sign up, of course, goes to the person you sign up through 100%. And then after that, it starts decreasing. The acquirer has a hold in the lifetime value of your subscription. So basically, whoever you acquired your subscription gets paid for the lifetime of that subscription, even if they're not consuming them. And then the rest is split up by your behavior, who you watch, and split up based on who you watch. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know that totally makes sense. And I've got to run, but thank you everyone for everything that you've done. And I want to get in touch with Jamie at some point to talk about getting on Rokfin. But anyways, thank you so much for everyone, and thank you, Ricky, for putting this.
I got to run too. I just want to say that Jason explained it very well, Rokfin, because Jamie was very kind enough to talk with me about Rokfin. I just couldn't pull the trigger on it at that point in time. But I'm thinking like 2021 is a good time to do that. Jason explained it very well. Like I thought about it in a new way, and Sam was kind enough to speak for me to get over there on Rokfin. And I think it's time. I think it's time to do it. I think they offer a good platform. The UI is amazing, and being able to stream there live, I think I can figure that out. Maybe I can help Sam, but I can figure it out.
I gotta jump too, guys. I appreciate all the compliments. We recognize we still have a lot of work to do, but at the same time, we're happy, very excited where we are, and excited for the future.
And thank you to Jamie too, because he actually was a big fan of the original Union of the Unwanted podcast. The very first one you did, I posted it over on Rokfin in 2 parts, and Jamie got at me afterwards. He said, "Dude, this was awesome. It gave us so much insight on how we can grow our platform." And it was back then, that there was first talking about a super chat mechanism. And I got to tell you, my nipples are super hard just thinking about it next week. I can't wait. Let's get it going. I love it. And keep it up, brother. So we got a fan on the podcast. I love it.
Awesome. Yeah. No, yeah. I definitely joined that Union the Unwanted looking for, hey, what are these guys talking about? What do they need? That's definitely the best product research I've done.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's the idea of this show, is kind of just bring people together and just, cross-pollinating and helping each other and creating a community. And I'm a fan. I mean, I've talked to all you guys, I've talked to Kinsley, I've talked to Jamie, I've talked to Matthew, I've talked to all these alternative platforms except BitChute. So fuck them. I'm kidding. But, it is one of those things where like I'm so hopeful for the future, because like you guys actually care about the content and the creators and see the censorship issue as an issue also. So it's helpful for us to be like, okay, like the person behind the platform or the person behind, creating this or making the decisions actually they care, and in some cases are fans of the content creators. So, I think it's awesome. It makes me feel much more willing to want to go help the platforms and invest in the platforms and promote the platforms. I hope that this show helps promote some of the platforms and maybe even answer some questions that some listeners have about these platforms before they jumped over. So, I'm just doing my part in helping. I just gotta stop promoting, actually join the platforms now.
Well, let's mention them one more time. So we had Odyssey on as ODYSEE.com, and you have contentsafe.co. We also have Rokfin.com on and float.app.
FLOTE.
Yep. .app.
Hey, I got a quick question for Jamie if he's still here. I can't see if he's still here.
I'm still here.
All right. So I'm still in the queue. And if you have to evaluate my content, the best sample is from last night, grandtheftworld.com. And it's episode 4. And if you like what you see and you want that type of live streaming content with references and footnotes, then I'm interested.
Email me again.
5 times to say it.
Email me again. And email me directly at creators@rokfin.com.
I'll just do a Twitter to both you guys.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
I'll
Jason does that too.
Yeah,
there you go.
Jamie's been super responsive about that. We just got Jamie Deluxe on the platform. We got to get Jamie Deluxe on. We've had Jamie Deluxe on this
once.
Yeah. We just can't get him and you and Whitney Webb, because then there's too many F-bombs. We just have to minimize.
Hey guys, I appreciate the time.
Later, Jamie. Thanks again, brother.
Jamie, thanks for the time.
Hey, Jamie, we'll be in touch.
I gotta run too, guys. I have just a very overzealous puppy here who is chewing on.
Thanks, Aaron.
See ya.
Thanks, Aaron. Anybody else want to?
I think we're winding down the show anyway, so that's all good.
Mr. Snyder,
It was a good meeting.
Mr. Robertson, anybody want to? Any last thoughts? Any feedback on?
Well, it's a real education for me, because I went to the Sam Tripoli Technical Institute and graduated with full honors. So I know nothing. So this is just a big eye-opening experience for me. I mean, I'm familiar with the platforms, but as far as how they all work and what differentiates one from the other is something that I'm really not clear on. And I'm sure there are a lot of people out there like me that are able to listen to this, and then they'll be able to make decisions on where they want to be. And maybe they want to be everywhere. Maybe the plan is be everywhere so that it's impossible for them to take you down. And
So thanks, guys, for everyone that came on and gave these detailed explanations about how the technology works. We're at a real pivotal time. They're trying to silence anybody that's talking about really important things for obvious reasons. So it's sort of a now or never proposition for us as far as getting this information out.
Well said, Charlie.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Snyder, nothing? Huh? You're not going to say something?
I don't know, man. I mean, it's one of those things where I was just enjoying kind of like listening to everyone else talk about it, because my perspective on it comes from a very different background, which is like filmmaking. And filmmaking, you don't get censored so much as you never get anything but censored. And so to give you an example of kind of like what that's like, take the MPAA, one of the people on their advisory board who appeals NC-17 rating decisions, that's a priest. So you have like religion looming over the censorship model as it applies to what rating something does or does not get. If you want to be included, say you have a film that comes out and you want someone to give a film review, it has to premiere at certain venues within a certain like city or municipality in order to qualify for whether or not it makes it into the paper. So censorship, in my perspective, coming out of my world, it's something that's like an integral part of creating a social environment that then paves the way to festivals, which themselves are gatekeepers as well. So it's really interesting to hear all of it from like a completely different realm, because we know that these big tech kind of entities were farted out by DARPA in a very broken way, almost by design, such that there was a very brief window of time wherein we were able to avoid censorship, and now that's closing. So it's really interesting to see all of this come out of that closing door.
Yeah, have you seen This Film Is Not Yet Rated, just because you were talking about the censorship and the MPA?
I have seen it, yeah.
Big fan of that film. Can't recommend it enough. I actually interviewed Kirby Dick back in the day as well. I encourage people to check it out. That's the last thing I'll say on this Union of the Unlawful.
Something else I should state is that we've got in the works coming up soon our own podcast show called Deplatformed. And I'd really like to have some of you guys on there, especially talking about censorship historically. I think that would be a great topic to talk about for an hour or two.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And then
love to be on this.
Red Pilled. Deborah Gets Red Pilled. Adam is from Deborah Gets Red Pilled. So definitely check out that podcast. We've actually discussed it. I think you owe Truthzilla some money, because I'm kidding. Because they gave you a shout out on one of these shows. And then obviously Richard Grove, new show. You want to let people know where they can get that? It's awesome. He actually, all of us might eventually be on that show at some point, because he talks about what the alternative media is discussing, and he takes clips from everybody's shows and talks about it, and gives everybody some props, which is awesome.
I wanted a one-stop shop where I could go and find all my favorite creators, because they're all getting scattered to the wind. So everybody from Corbett to Ricky to Burmis, Whitney Webb, Derek Bros, Mark Passio, all on one page, grandtheftworld.com. And then weekly, we do a podcast. So there's a chronological news feed of everyone's productions for the week. So you just can go through there. Luke Radowski. But we take like the top 10%. Here's the most prolific stories of the week. And we break it down in the podcast and add additional references to what those fine creators already do. So Jason, last night in one of the clips, he mentioned technopoly. So we got into technocracy at a totalitarian level becomes technopoly, broke out the sources and references to educate the audience so that they can talk about it at a realistic level. So it's Freedom United at Grand Theft World.
Awesome. Definitely check out Conspiracy Synergy, right? That you're still obviously working on that, and you want to let people know where you can get that.
I've broken it into two parts. The first part will be done in like a couple of weeks. I'm going fucking insane. It's like, yeah.
Is it conspiracysynergy.com or what's the?
Yeah, it is. That's primarily the website, and it's Adam over at Deborah Guts Red Pill. This is the segue question. Are you ever going to do an episode where you try and get her to explain something to somebody? Because that's kind of one of the introductory kind of wheels of going through this world, is just trying to articulate any of this shit to somebody else. You know what I mean? Is that going to be an episode? I'm curious.
Yeah. She has one friend who's like listening with an open mind. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to have her go back, and I'm going to have her on and have her do my job and I'm just gonna sit there and laugh.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's such a fun show. I've been a guest on the show. It's such a great show. It's such a great concept. We had such a good time. And when I got done, I felt so bad. Poor Deborah was like, "Oh, my hair hurts."
That was my favorite part about it.
I'm sorry.
About halfway through the episode.
Man. People have to check that out. It's a great show. And Truthzilla, my friends at Truthzilla, I will see you in 2 days.
Yes. Can't wait, man.
Yeah. I gotta get out of here. Matthew, I'm curious about looking at the code repo. This Python, I want to take a look. So I'll email I think one of your coworkers, Owen. I talked with him. Nice guy. So
He mentioned that you guys had a great conversation.
We did.
And if you want to schedule, I got a Calendly link in there in chat. Drop me an email.
Cool.
Either one.
Love to. I love talking to you guys. I will see you guys in like 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody,
for
joining us.
Thanks, everyone, for coming.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Peace, guys.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Thanks, Ricky.
Hey. Thank you.
Thanks, Ricky.